Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. This video is a practical demonstration of how to perform Salatul Khauf. So this is the first method. This is basically where the enemy is not in the direction of the Qibla. The followers are divided into two different groups. One of the groups does Takbiratul Ihram with the Imam and prays one rak'ah with the Imam. The other group, as we can see, stands behind them, guarding those who are praying. So they continue into the ruku' and the sujood. So basically after the first rak'ah, the Imam remains standing and the group praying with the Imam finishes the second rak'ah and the taslim. So the Imam remains standing, the followers, they continue with their salah and they finish off their second rak'ah individually. So once this group has finished their salah, the groups then swap places and the Imam finishes the second rak'ah with the second group. So once now the Imam is in tashahhud, the rest of the ones praying behind him, they complete their second rak'ah on their own. Right until they reach the tashahhud. And the Imam is basically in the sitting position waiting for the rest to basically catch up until the tashahhud. So once they have caught up with him, then the Imam does the taslim with the second group. So this is basically the first method. The second method is where the enemy is in the direction of the Qibla. So the followers are divided into two groups. One group does Takbiratul Ihram with the Imam and prays one rak'ah with the Imam. And the other group stands facing the enemy while guarding the people praying. So now they swap places. Notice that the first group, they're still in their salah. And so now the second group joins with the Imam and they pray with the Imam the second rak'ah, the Imam's second rak'ah. So after the Imam's second rak'ah, the Imam will finish his salah with the salam, with the taslim, and the rest of the group will stand up to finish off their second rak'ah. So there are basically two ways of doing this. The scholars have mentioned two ways. Either the second group finishes off the second rak'ah and then switches places with the first group once again, or they switch places before they finish that second rak'ah, and so the first group comes back, finishes their second rak'ah, And then the second group comes back and then finishes their second rak'ah. So there are two methods within this second method. So the demonstration shows that this second group, they finished their second rak'ah on their own, and they switched places with the first group, who now finish their second rak'ah. Okay, so this is the third method. So in this situation, the enemy is in the direction of the Qibla. The followers are basically divided into two groups. Both groups start the prayer with the Imam. So they begin the prayer in the normal way. They do ruku' as normal. But when the Imam goes into sujood, one group goes into sujood with the Imam, while the other stands guard. So when the Imam along with the first group stand for the second rak'ah, the second group complete their two sujoods and join the Imam. And then the first row go behind and the second row comes in front. So they switch places. So at the end of the second rak'ah, the second group joins the Imam for the sujood. So now the second group is in the front row. They join the Imam in sujood, while the first group stands guard. So when the Imam goes into tashahhud, the first group then does sujood and catches up with the rest of the musallin for tashahhud. And thereafter all of them do the taslim together. So the next is the fourth method. This is straightforward. The Imam prays two raka'at with two taslims, one for each of the two salahs. So one group prays normal two raka'at with the Imam. And then of course the other prays with the Imam the second time. So the first two raka'at or the first salah, the Imam prays his fard, and the second two raka'at which he prays with the other group is a voluntary prayer for the Imam. So the other group join the Imam for two raka'at. So this is the fifth method, and this is basically where the Imam prays 2 raka'at and each group prays only one. Okay, so the Imam stood up for the second rak'ah, while the rest of them, they finish off with the taslim after the first rak'ah. Then the other group joins them, or joins him, the Imam. And do notice that each of the musallin, when they first start their salah, they start it with the takbiratul ihram, and when they finish the salah, then they do this with the taslim. So now this is the sixth method of performing Salatul Khauf. There are two groups, one facing the enemy and the other one is facing the Qibla. And everyone starts the takbir with the Imam. So notice that they're facing the opposite way, yet they have started their salah. So one group does the ruku' and sujood with the Imam for this first rak'ah. And once they get up, the two groups switch places. And they perform the second rak'ah as normal with the Imam, while the other group, who is facing the opposite way, they remain standing. So once the Imam reaches the tashahhud, the group behind him, they finish off their second rak'ah, right until the tashahhud. And they remain sitting while the first group joins the congregation. And they finish off their ruku' and sujood. And once they reach the tashahhud, then they do the taslim all together. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد.